Welcome, everyone, to the Thursday edition of Fair Territory. I'm Ken Rosenthal, as you can see, here with my friend Alana Rizzo. We are coming to you today, I am, at least, from Tampa. I was at the Yankees this morning. I was at the Phillies yesterday, the Pirates the day before that, the Blue Jays. Maybe it wasn't in quite that order, but you get the idea. It's spring training. And actually, Alana, last night, we had some news.
We did have some news, and you're all over Florida putting in the miles. You know how that goes. Max Scherzer, Ken, going back to the Blue Jays. What do you make of it?
It's a very interesting move for a team that already has added 2 starting pitchers this offseason, and actually 3 if you want to include Shane Bieber, who opted in to his deal. They added, of course, in free agency, Dylan Cease and Cody Ponce, and yet the Blue Jays are still trying to add depth. You see the deal there. 1 year, $3 million with $10 million in incentives that start at 65 innings. It's like $1 million each for 10 different levels, up to 155 innings. So if Max Scherzer pitches, he can earn all of that, but we'll see how that all goes. Scherzer is in a situation where he has been throwing bullpens. He should be ready by opening day, and the question will be which other Blue Jays pitchers are in the mix opening day as well. They're going to have a selection to choose from. You see right here, there are 8 possible starters. Now, Bieber will not be ready to start the season, but Cease, Gossman, Yasavage, Barrios, Cody Ponce, Scherzer, Bieber, and Eric Lauer, who has talked about possibly getting traded, or at least that would be his desire, if the Blue Jays cannot create a spot for him in the rotation. Perhaps a trade of Lauer is coming now. Max Scherzer obviously had his choice of teams. And you can say, well, my team could have beat $3 million. Come on. But Scherzer was only going to go to certain teams. He had a great experience in Toronto, of course, as all of their players did last season. So the Blue Jays were where he wanted to go. And now we'll see how they put together their rotation, not just for opening day, but the rest of the season. You need more than 5. They've got more than 5.
And a couple of questions for you on this. They need more than 5. They have more than 5. But what's interesting to me about this is the no trade protection. That's great for Scherzer. It's great for his family. Why was that so important? Why did the Blue Jays allow it? And furthermore, could there be a situation in which Max Scherzer could be needed or come out of the bullpen?
Alana, I wouldn't think he would come out of the bullpen. At this age, he's not really done that. Obviously, he could do it. He did it in the playoffs for the Dodgers, but he's coming to be a starter. That is who he is. That is what he wants to be. As for the no trade protection, it's a full no trade clause. And my assumption here, and I have not spoken to Max about this yet, it's still pending a physical, this deal, but my assumption is, hey, he's signing with Toronto. He doesn't want to go anywhere else. He is at a stage in his career where he doesn't want to be traded in midseason, be a hired gun, if he would even be that. Remember, last regular season wasn't great for Max. He was great in the postseason once he was on the roster. Wasn't even on the roster for the division series. So he wants to be there. They, I'm sure, had no problem giving him that. And obviously, if things fell apart there, which no one expects, and he was pitching well, and some team wanted him, and the Jays, for some reason, wanted to trade him, would he entertain that? Could he waive the no trade? Yes, but I do not expect it to come to that.
Ken, what is the likelihood, in your opinion, that Eric Lauer does actually get traded, especially since he seems to want to be?
Good question, Alana. I don't know. And if I'm the Blue Jays, I've got the hammer here. I don't have to trade him. I don't have to do anything. I might want him to start out as a long man, a role he served last year and quite well for them. Of course, he saved their rotation too at times with all the injuries that they had. But I want all the depth that I can assemble, all the pitchers that I can have. And this is in contrast to, for instance, the Atlanta Braves, who I wrote about earlier this week. They're looking at a situation where their depth is in a perilous spot. The Jays, with their money, and remember, they're over the highest luxury tax threshold. So Scherzer, it's $3 million, but he's costing them 110% of that, over $6 million. They seem to have no financial limit this season. So for them, I don't see any particular motivation to trade Lauer, but if they could get something in return for him that may be interesting, maybe they would do it.
Toronto Blue Jays spending more than the other 29 teams in free agency. Good on them. Ken, what more can you tell us about Randall Grichuk to the New York Yankees? You were at Yankees camp earlier.
This is a minor league deal, and the Yankees have been talking all offseason about getting a right-handed hitting outfielder. They wanted one that perhaps could enter the lineup on days they want to rest Trent Grisham against lefties. So you would have Cody Bellinger in center. He is one of the best left-on-left hitters in the game. Judge, of course, would be in right, Grichuk in left. Now, Grichuk is not coming off a terribly good season, and perhaps that is why he only received a minor league deal. He has been a guy who in his career has hit lefties well, but didn't really do much of anything last season for Arizona and then Kansas City. He was league average in Arizona, not good at all in Kansas City. So it's a bit of a flyer for the Yankees. At the same time, it's only a minor league deal. If they don't like what they see in spring training, they can just carry Jason Dominguez or do something else to start the season with. This could mean, which was looking like it was going to happen anyway, Jason Dominguez back in AAA along with Spencer Jones. The one impressive thing about the Yankees right now, forget their outfield situation, forget what's going on with their young players there. They have depth, obviously. The depth of their pitching is what is really intriguing. And not just Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon and hopefully Clark Schmidt coming back at some point, but some of their younger arms showing in camp, Legrande and Elmer Rodriguez, I believe is his name. These guys are looking like they can be part of the future for the Yankees, and it's going to be really interesting to see how they sort through it all.
Ken, they're turning some heads, but they're not the only one. Konnor Griffin, this kid is a sight to behold. I know you just wrote a piece about him, but he's definitely turning heads. What more can you tell us about him?
He's the best prospect in baseball, consensus number one prospect. And around the Pirates, there is a lot of talk about him, a lot of excitement about him. They believe potentially he could be a unicorn along the lines of Paul Skenes, the hitting version of Paul Skenes. Now, that's a lot to ask, obviously, but Konnor Griffin is 19 years old. He is put together physically. He looks like physically a young Cal Ripken. And beyond that, what you hear from the players and even the opponents, as I detail in the story, you hear that this is a kid who has a good head on his shoulders, who is very mature. He's savvy about the game. He knows what he's doing on the field. It looks like he is trending toward being their opening day shortstop. It's a bit of a stretch, but the young superstars that we've seen over the years, from A-Rod to Albert Pujols to a bunch of guys, Ken Griffey Jr., Mike Trout, these are the guys that can come to the big leagues and succeed almost right away. Trout had to go back to the minors, of course, but we have seen Juan Soto, another one, young players who stand out in this sense that really can make an impact right away. And it looks like Konnor Griffin could be the next one.
A surprise boost of confidence and something to watch for the Pittsburgh Pirates. We don't get to talk about them in a positive light very often. So Konnor Griffin is perhaps that spark that they need. Merrill Kelly can back to the Diamondbacks, but potentially not ready for opening day, dealing with some soreness, if you will, in his back. What more can you tell us?
Here is the Diamondbacks have been one of the more aggressive teams over the years under Ken Kendrick, their owner, in signing free agents, in maybe outpunching their market size, right? Or at least what we perceive in baseball to be their market size. Phoenix is a huge market, but it's not a huge baseball market in terms of revenue. And yet they've had horrible luck signing these free agents. I want to show you a list here of pitchers that they've signed that at least in some cases have not yet worked out for them. Madison Bumgarner, not good. It was kind of a disaster, actually. Eduardo Rodriguez, he's pitched okay at times, but he's been hurt. Jordan Montgomery, of course, was hurt. Corbin Burns, Tommy John surgery, and now perhaps Merrill Kelly injured as well. They've also signed Zach Gallen for this season. I did not include Zach Greinke on this list. He was a huge free agent signing at the time. Biggest contract for a pitcher at the time. He did pitch well for the Diamondbacks, but ultimately they traded him to the Houston Astros. So the Diamondbacks keep trying, and it almost seems like they keep getting burned.
Okay, well, it's time now to tell our folks watching about SeatGeek, guys. Let's shout out SeatGeek. I am buried under the snow here in the Northeast, so my mind clearly, Ken, is wandering about just where I should go. Should it be Arizona? Should it be Florida? Cactus League, Grapefruit League? I'd love to get tickets to Port St. Lucie tomorrow to watch Freddie Peralta, his first outing as a Met. Remember, he's no longer with the Brewers. If you're able, SeatGeek can make it happen. Ken, what is the game you are particularly excited about for Friday?
It's at Orioles, right? Not Orioles at Pirates?
Yes.
I'm not sure
Yes.
exactly. Either
At
way,
Orioles. I don't know. Pirates.
I want to see Konnor Griffin play. Konnor Griffin hit 2 home runs the other day against the Boston Red Sox. Both homers left JetBlue Park. The first was off the Red Sox $130 million man, Ranger Suarez. Now, I know it's spring training, but if I'm a fan, I want to see this kid in action.
No doubt. You just wrote about him. Let's see him in action. With over 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. MLB and the World Baseball Classic just around the corner. NBA season in full swing right now. You can get World Cup tickets as well. And of course, we have a code for you guys. You can use code Territory10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets, not just sports tickets, any tickets with promo code Territory10. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Guys, get your questions in. It is time now for Grillin Ken. All right, time now to ask Ken Rosenthal some questions. What's on your mind? What are you thinking about? Ken, we're going to start with a Cubs question. This one comes from Mike G15. Connor Griffin will deservedly get most NL Rookie of the Year predictions, but who is your dark horse for that award? He is saying that his is Moises Ballesteros, but he is also admitting to you, Ken, that he's a biased Cubs fan.
Like G15. How about Owen Casey from the Miami Marlins, traded to Miami from the Chicago Cubs in the Edward Cabrera deal, I should say. That is an interesting one for me because Owen Casey was and is a great prospect and has a chance to do some special things this year. He's the one that for me immediately jumped to mind.
Okay, next one is in regards to the Minnesota Twins. Armand is amazing, wants to know, Ken, with David Festa likely to begin the season on the injured list, will the Twins finally make a move for the rotation, signing Lucas Giolito or Zach Littell, or trade perhaps for Eric Lauer, who we were just talking about with the Blue Jays?
We've gotten a lot of questions about the Twins lately, but not this kind of question. The questions have been, hey, with Pablo Lopez out for the season, why not trade Joe Ryan? And it seems that their new control person, Tom Pohlad, is talking about being competitive, trying to put a good team on the field this year. Well, okay, as Armand is amazing points out there, put up or shut up. Go get Giolito or Littell, or go trade for Lauer or anybody else who might be available that you can pry for what you might deem a reasonable price. The Twins have talked. They've talked the talk. They need to walk the walk when it comes to improving their team. And really, for the most part, they haven't done that.
This is an interesting question, not necessarily raised in the form of a question, but C. Carrera 951 just put up there, how much tenure is Max trying to get? Why do you, I mean, you know Max, right? He has nothing else to prove, Ken. So if you were to kind of dive into the head of Max Scherzer, is it because there's an opportunity truly to win with the Blue Jays? Does he just love it that much? What keeps a guy like Scherzer going?
All right, I'll put it as simply as I can and in a way that I would expect most fans can relate. If you get to play baseball at the highest level, Major League Baseball, why would you ever want to stop until they tell you have to stop? Most players try to max out their careers, and so to speak, with Max, that's exactly what he's trying to do. And Alana, you're right. He wants to win. That's part of it. But he loves to compete. A lot of the ace pitchers in particular are competition addicts. Actually, most players are. And he just doesn't want to stop as long as he feels he can continue to perform at a high level. And we saw last year in the ALCS, we saw him start Game 7 of the World Series. He can still perform at a high level. And that's what drives him. It's not, in his case, a particular number, as it might be with Verlander, the 300 wins. But even with Verlander, I think He knows that 300 wins is probably unrealistic for him, but he wants to keep going. He wants to just keep pitching and keep competing. It's what these guys do, and when they stop doing it, they miss it badly. So I think any of us can understand that, and certainly I feel the same way, honestly, about my own career. I want to keep going as long as I can. And obviously, I'm not a major league player, but that's generally the feeling that these guys have.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? I mean, you're going to spend more time out of the game than you are in the game. If he's healthy, if he's still productive, if there's a team that still wants him, why not? Plus, Emily can handle the kiddos by herself. It's like when these guys come back after the season, it's like re-entering the Earth's atmosphere, and the wives are like, whoa, 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 we had this all taken care of, Dad. All right, another question for you, Ken. This is coming from Doc. Who's your surprise pick for a breakout player of the year?
That is a great one. And these questions come at me live, so I'm not thinking about them in advance. So I'd have to have maybe some time to think about this, but I'll give you one. And this one is a little bit off the radar right now. Christian Campbell, Boston Red Sox. There doesn't appear to be a spot for him right now, but Jen McCaffrey of The Athletic wrote a really interesting story about how he trained differently this offseason with his swing, did some different concepts, adopted some different concepts, and I just see him as ultimately a quality major league hitter. If you remember at this time last year, Christian Campbell wasn't getting as hyped up as Konnor Griffin is now, but he was considered one of the big guys for the Red Sox, the big prospects. Started at second base, gets the extension. I'm not giving up on him yet. So I don't see a spot right now, obviously, but things happen during the course of the season. So off the top of my head, there's one.
All right. Hate to put you on the spot like that, but you know what? Konnor Griffin's always a good answer too. We'll see what happens with that if he does make the big league club with the Pirates. Last question for you before we get into Dude and Dork. Any word, Ken, on Lucas Giolito? I don't think he's the only person that has this question. Is he going to get a team this year?
He'll get a team, and he'll sign eventually. It might take until after opening day. Who knows? But it's only February 26th. Exhibition games are starting in Arizona and Florida. And as much as we all hate to see it and hate to talk about it, injuries are going to happen. They're already happening. Teams will get more desperate than they are right now. Teams will also look at their players and their pitchers and say, whoa, maybe we're not as good as we thought. And that is what would drive the signing of a Lucas Giolito or a Zach Littell. Clearly, he's not getting the offers he wants right now. Clearly, he is a quality major league pitcher, as is Littell. These guys are not fringe major leaguers. They're major league caliber pitchers, and it's just a question of when and where.
All right. Lucas Giolito did a lot of good for the Red Sox last season. We'll see where he ends up. All right. We're going to be back right after this with Dude and Dork of the Week. A few messages from our friends at Foul Territory first.
We're going to get into all of the nitty-gritty details about why you should switch to Mint Mobile, but I brought a special guest in for this one to alert you that you might be paying way too much for your wireless bill. Eric Kratz, can you give me the bullpen dugout phone, please?
You want to pay $15 a month? Unlimited? Switch to Mint Mobile.
You heard the man. Unlimited talk, text, and data at a fraction of what others charge.
Ready to stop paying more than you have to? New customers can make the switch today, and for a limited time, get unlimited premium wireless for just $15 per month. Switch now at mintmobile.com/territory. That's mintmobile.com/territory. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12 months. Plan required, $15 a month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Over 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com.
BetMGM account holders, today, how about an Any Sport Parlay Boost token? You can score a bigger payout if your wager with that token hits. Tokens can be used on parlays and on same-game parlays. Gambling problem or concern? There's help. Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Dude.
All right, I will kick things off here on our dude of the week, and mine is actually a dudette. My dudette is Sarah Langs, of course, a wonderful, wonderful baseball writer and fan. Nobody loves baseball more than Sarah Langs. She's making her way around the Cactus League circuit. She went to Mariners camp. She went to the Reds. She went to the Diamondbacks. She went to the A's. Everybody loves to see Sarah Langs in camp because she just makes the game and the day better. Of course, she is valiantly and heroically battling with ALS with a smile, with poise, with grace and class. And I love seeing Sarah out at camp. So keep on keeping on, Sarah. We're proud of you. We love to see it. I love her and the energy that she brings to every club. All right, Ken, who is your dude of the week?
Actually, we could go with Sarah every week and we'd be perfectly justified in doing so. She is just a bright light in our sport. My dude of the week, though, actually, it's a couple of dudes, and it's a couple of people, actually 4, who covered the Winter Olympics for the Washington Post at a time when, of course, the Washington Post is abandoning its sports section, ditching its sports section. 2 of the writers, Barry Svrluga and Les Carpenter, were already laid off, and yet they still went and did their jobs. Why? Because they felt they had an obligation to their readers, and also they wanted to do what they do. This is their job, it's their livelihood, and you take it away from us, we still want to do it. And it was great today to see the announcement from The Athletic, my publication, that we're hiring 6 people from the Washington Post, including Barry Svrluga. There's Spencer Nussbaum. He's going to cover the Nationals for us. Candace Buckner, columnist. Ava Wallace, Adam Kilgore, brilliant writer, and Jason Murray. They're bringing their expertise to The Athletic, as that tweet says, and we are thrilled to have them. And there have been a lot of things that have happened in our business over the years that just make us go, man, that's not right. This was the all-timer, and I'm glad to see a lot of these people from the Washington Post sports department getting jobs.
Ken, I'm going to ask you this because one of the things that I think I'm really bad at is writing. It's not a strength of mine. It's not something that I'm good at. In fact, it scares me. You've done it brilliantly for so many years, and all of those colleagues, now your colleagues that you listed, have also done it for a very long time. In your opinion, let's say there's a young journalist out there listening. What makes a good writer? What are the tips that you need to have to be successful at that craft?
Well, I wish I knew because it's different for everyone. And sometimes I wish I was a better writer myself. To me, what it all starts with is information. And I'm not talking about scoops and transactions and that kind of thing. I'm talking about details that will make a good story. And then, of course, there's the skill in putting those sentences together and all of that. There are people who are a lot better at that than I am. And there are people who are a lot better at gathering than I am. But hard work really is a key in all of these things in journalism, and it's kind of the backbone of the writing part of it too.
Well, I disagree with you. I think you are a brilliant writer and you do an amazing job. All right, let's go to our dork of the week. All right, Ken, I'll let you lead this category off.
Well, I'm going to go with a person that's pretty obvious choice this week. It's Artie, the survey says, Moreno, owner of the Los Angeles Angels. You might have seen the news about Artie Moreno conducting a survey, or the Angels conducting a survey, in which fans said, according to Moreno and the Angels, that winning was not in their top 5 priorities. Really? I'd like to see who those fans are. I'd like to see the survey. I'd like to get a little bit more detail about this. Frankly, I think it's a bunch of bunk. And I'll tell you this. If I'm Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball, and I see an owner saying this on the eve of collective bargaining negotiations, when trying and winning is going to be a key element of this whole deal, it's what the union wants to see more of from more teams, Artie Moreno is embarrassing Major League Baseball with this kind of stuff. And if I'm Rob Manfred, I am not happy about it.
Ken, does Rob Manfred have that conversation? Do you think the commissioner of the sport picks up the phone and says, Artie, what are you doing? Like, I'm here to support the owners. I'm here to support you guys, but you're making my job very difficult.
Rob Manfred is someone that, of course, at times I criticize and others criticize, but he does have a very difficult job. He's employed by the 30 owners. So it's a difficult political position that he is constantly in. It's especially difficult in a time of collective bargaining negotiations. But again, I can't imagine he was too happy with Artie Moreno's great survey.
Yeah, I still would love to see that survey. I know I'm not the only one wondering where that survey is. Okay, my dork of the week, and this is not probably going to come as any shock to anybody. It is a PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong with the Chicago Cubs, who had this to say: "I love Chicago more and more. I love Chicago as well, by the way. The people are great. They give a beep. They aren't just baseball fans who go to the game like Dodgers fans to take pictures and whatever. They're paying attention. They care." Okay, listen, PCA is great for the game. I love the way the kid plays. But to say that Dodgers fans just go to take pictures and whatever is a little unfair. I would garner to bet that all 30 clubs have interesting sections of their stadium where there are fans that don't care as much about the game. In fact, at Wrigley, stacking the plastic cups of beer all the way to the moon, those types of things. Everybody has certain parts of their fan base that are a little suspect. But to say that the Dodgers fans just go to take pictures and whatever is not fair. It's a massive stadium. I've covered it for 7 seasons. Their fans are very passionate and rabid, and every fan base thinks that theirs is the best, and every fan base is right. Okay, so PCA, I love you. You're great for the sport, but come on, man. Come on. All right. If you're watching on TV, thank you. We're going to see you next time. We'll have a couple more minutes on the YouTube side right after this. All right, Ken, if you were still with us, you're watching on YouTube. We are happy that you are here. Let's talk a little bit about the Braves rotation. You had mentioned it earlier in the show, whereas the Toronto Blue Jays have a plethora of arms. The Braves are on the opposite end of that spectrum, perhaps, but they did just extend Chris Sale to, I believe, a 1-year extension with an opt-out after that. What do you make of the Braves rotation moving forward?
Alana, I wrote about this week, and basically what I wrote was that the Braves president of baseball operations, Alex Anthopoulos, as good as he has been, and he has been really good at his job, he's playing with fire here. And he's playing with fire because they've already lost Spencer Schwellenbach and Hurston Waldrep just this spring training. Those 2 guys have gone down. Both had elbow cleanups. They'll be out most likely at least for several months. So what are the Braves looking at right now? Chris Sale is going to be 37 this season. Ronaldo Lopez coming off a season in which he pitched once due to shoulder inflammation. Grant Holmes, who has a tear in his elbow but is pitching with it. And Bryce Elder is going to be competing for the 5th spot. And I'm missing someone. I'm sorry about that. But essentially, this is a group. Oh, Spencer Strider. Spencer Strider, this will be his 2nd year off Tommy John. Even if he is back, and they do believe he is, it's going to be difficult for him to carry a heavy workload. So with Bryce Elder and Joey Wentz both out of options competing for the 5th spot, it just seems to me that they're perilously thin, and they're 1 injury away from a really dangerous situation, a situation in which at that point they'd be desperate to sign a Giolito or a Zach Littell or do something with a trade. It just seems to me this team, a team with Ronald Acuna Jr. in his prime, coming back from the knee problems, a team that really should be a World Series contender this year. They're playing, again, as I said, with fire here. It's a little bit of a dangerous spot for them, and one that I think they could have avoided if they had fulfilled their offseason mission of acquiring a playoff starter. That's what they said they wanted to do at the start of the offseason. Never got it done.
Ken, this is not related to the Braves, but I guess it could be. And maybe I'm a little surprised that he's on a minor league deal right now. Do you see Walker Buehler getting on with a big league club? It seems like kind of a fall from grace considering how good he was for a short period of time. I realize he's dealt with injuries, but where do you think Walker Buehler ultimately ends up?
San Diego is where he's ending up, or at least where he's in camp with. Now, does he make the team? We'll see. And Walker Buehler, you're right, Alana. He's had an interesting fall from grace here, and a stunning fall, honestly. But the Padres have done a good job in kind of collecting some arms that, who knows, may have a chance to surface in a big way for them. German Marquez is another one. So their rotation took a hit, obviously, when they lost Dylan Cease, then when Darvish had the injury that he will not pitch again this season. But they have some possibilities there. Buehler is one of them.
All right, Ken, we appreciate the insight as always. We appreciate you guys for being a part of the show today. Don't forget that foul territory follows us. Jason Kipnis is at D-backs camp, and he's going to host with AJ Pierzynski and Scott Braun. Ken is back with Fair on Monday. Talk to you then. We'll see you next time.